Hi, welcome to my full body stretch and mobility routine. You can do this as a follow along with me. I'm going to take you through a routine you can do on a rest day as some active recovery to help you get more flexible, improving your range of motion in lifts and also get the blood flowing to aid your recovery. Let's get right into the routine. First up, you're going to start at one end of your mat and we're going to do some inchworms to mobilize the hamstrings. So you're going to hinge at the hip, feeling that stretch in the hamstring. I've got almost straight legs. If you can't touch the floor, you can flex the back. And if you can't touch the floor, even once you've rounded the back, you can bend the knees slightly. So you're gonna walk out and in, and we're just gonna repeat this. So I'm gonna hinge at the hip till I feel my hamstrings reach full range. If I can't reach the floor, I'm gonna round my back to touch. And like I said before, if you still can't touch your toes after rounding your back, you can add that slight knee bend in if needed. Let's just walk out, walk in. I want you to walk all the way in. You need to touch the toes before you roll up. If you can, go for that flat back hinge to start. And you might even get all the way down without having to round your back too much. Hinging back. I like to unlock my knees, but they should be almost straight. Let's make this the final one. Okay, next we're actually going back into that inchworm, ready for the next position. So we're gonna start in a press up position. We're gonna take the right foot, I'm gonna place it just on the outside of my little finger, and then we're gonna turn and point up towards the ceiling. Let's turn the other way as well. That way it's a little bit more challenging. And then we're gonna switch the sides around. So I'm gonna put that left leg on the outside of my left hand. I'm gonna try and straighten up through the back leg. Let's turn one way, pointing up towards the ceiling. Let's turn the other way. These are called Spider-Man lunges. We've done one per side. We're gonna repeat this until we've done 3 per side. So just follow along roughly in time with me. Onto that left. So if you're struggling, just put that foot out a little wider and it'll make it a little bit easier to turn. Okay, we've got one more per side now. Try and straighten up through that back leg and you'll feel that hip flexor stretching. Okay, sitting on to your bottom now. I'm gonna lie onto the back. I'm gonna bring the knees up to 90-degree angle. I'm gonna put the arms out flat. We're gonna go for some side-to-side drops. These are called wipers. It's a slight core exercise as well. We're just dropping down, but I want you to focus on keeping the opposite shoulder blade in contact with the floor. So you need to actively push down that opposite side shoulder. If you're finding this easy, try straightening your legs. You might get a few cracks in your back, that's okay. When you pass through that center position, your tailbone should be in contact with the mat. It shouldn't be rolling off on this. If it is rolling off with straight legs, just soften the knees and it should press your tailbone back down. Okay, taking it onto my favorite mobility exercise now. We're gonna roll onto one side. For this, I'm gonna start my knees up in that 90-degree angle position, one knee on top of the other. If you wanna make it more comfortable, you could put a block or a cushion between your knees. We're gonna have one hand on top of the other. We're gonna do some page turners. So we're gonna turn up and keep going, turning over horizontally, relaxing that back shoulder and hand towards the floor, and then slowly bringing it back. So we're gonna do about 5 of these. Don't worry if you're slightly off time with me. I'll still tell you when to change. So just coming up, keeping this hand in contact with the floor, dropping down. If you've got someone around that can help, it feels really good if you just get them to put a little bit of pressure on this knee. you might get to be able to lean into the stretch a little bit more. Let's make this the last one. So we're actually going to stay on this side. We're going to change it slightly. We're going to do some arcs. So all I need to do is draw a rainbow up. At the halfway mark, I'm going to turn the hand over. I'm going to try and stay as close to the floor now and keep going until I come all the way down to my pocket, down to my side, and coming back up and round. So we're drawing 3/4 of a clock face. So we're coming up past 12 o'clock, round, and all the way down, and draw it back. Let's do that one more time. So we've done 3 in total of these arcs. Just opening out that upper back and that chest. Great, okay, we're going to take it to the other side. So I'm going to flip it over, bring my knees up to that 90 degree. We're going for about 5 turns. So let's go for those flat turns to start with. Doing 5 of these. A little click in the back. You want to relax, breathe out as you go into the stretch. Let's go 2 more. Remember keeping those knees together, whether they're squeezing a block or on the floor. Okay, we're going for those arcs. So I'm going to draw that line up over my head, trying to stay contact for as long as I can. I'm going to bring it all the way down and draw back around until my hands are on top of one another. So we're going to do 3 of those. And then one final one. This is great for opening out the lats as you go overhead, the chest as you come down here, and that T-spine, that thoracic spine is also opening out. So it's a good one for your posture. All right, so there's 3 of those done. We're gonna start working on the hips a little bit more now. So you're gonna sit on your tailbone. We're gonna bring the knees wide, roughly to 90 degree angle, and we're going for some 90-90 drops. So I want you to drop down to one side, touch both knees on the floor. I'm gonna come up, over to the other side. So we're pivoting on the heels, just alternating sides. If you're finding this easy, you could hover the hands as you switch, but we're trying to keep some length to the spine. So I actually like to prop myself up so I can lengthen up. Imagine you're always trying to decompress your spine discs for this. So hunching forwards like this might be okay, but really I can get a better stretch and a healthier back position if I just go for the beginner option. All right, let's fall onto one side. I'm going to stay on one side now. I'm going to prop myself up with those fingers, lean the chest forwards. If you're more flexible, you lean the chest forward over the heel. If you're slightly less flexible, over the calf, and if you're struggling, it's going to be easier to lean your chest over the knee. So I'm going to come leaning my chest over the calf, trying not to round and still trying to keep some length into the back position. And once we're here, let's start adding some gentle circles. Imagine you're stirring a pot of porridge with your chest. Keep going one way, doing about 10 turns. I go 3 more. And then we're going to come back and stir the pot the other way. Always trying to maintain some length through the spine. You might have to be more upright, that's fine. Or I'm not actually very flexible in this area, so you might find that you're a lot lower down, and that's great as well. Let's do 3 more. Okay, let's hinge over to the other side, so we're just flipping over. I'm going to repeat the same. So I'm going to prop myself up, leaning over the heel, calf or knee, and just give me 10 circles one way, Try and keep this knee down, so mine's lifting off, so I'm actually going to press it down with that hand, just to ensure I'm getting a good internal rotation of those hips, which I think is probably my tightest area. Okay, let's take it back the other way with the circles now. Still trying to be conscious of that length through the spine, even if you're leaning forwards. So 3 more circles. 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to start focusing a little bit more on the upper body now. So we're going to go for a bicep and anterior shoulder stretch. So we're going to put the hands back behind you on the mat. I'm going to extend the chest up towards the ceiling, giving yourself a proud chest. I'm going to pull the shoulder blades back and together. I'm actually going to soften the knees, and I'm making sure I'm not rounding under with the lower back. I'm keeping extension forwards. I can already feel that in the shoulders, but you might find that you've got a little bit more room and you can shuffle forwards, just increasing that shoulder extension behind you. Trying not to dip into that hunch, but stay proud of the chest. If you want to make it more challenging, just keep shuffling forwards. You shouldn't feel a really stressful stretch. If you can feel it stretching already, don't force it. Just let the body relax in that position. I'm trying to keep my shoulder blades pinned together, pulling them back, feeling a little bit of forearms, a bit of bicep, and mostly in the front of that shoulder. This is a great stretch to do to improve your mobility. For doing tricep dips, you find if you're tight on this, you'll probably find that you're tight in the bottom of a dip position. Let's hold 3 more breaths. With each exhale, just elevate the chest to the ceiling. Pulling the shoulder blades back 1 more time. We're going to flip it round now. We're going to go the other way round. We're going to do a kneeling prayer stretch. I'm going to come a little bit wider with the knees. We're going to get the points of the elbows. We're going to reach forwards. I'm going to cross the hands over behind the head and sit back into a tricep and lat stretch. This works really great. If you've got some yoga blocks, you can put them underneath the elbows, letting you dip a little bit deeper through the blocks. You could also put your elbows on a bench and let the head drop down lower than the bench if you've got that, but I wanted to include an option that everyone can do without any equipment. Cross the hands over so the other hand is now placed over the other one. So you might be feeling this in the mid back because you've got that nice back extension. You might be feeling it down the triceps, or you might be feeling it in the lats. We're working all 3 of these. I'm letting my chest relax down towards the floor, so we've got some upper back extension. We've got a nice tricep and lat stretch. Hold 2 more breaths. One more. Slowly unfold the arms. Bring yourself out of the stretch. We're going to go on to some hamstrings now. We're going to finish with 2 final stretches. We're going to have 1 hip flexor stretch and 1 hamstring stretch. We'll start with the hamstring though. So you're going to come onto 1 knee. I want you to walk that heel forwards, not to full extension. You can wiggle it to just creep it. We're actually going to put a bend into the knee. You can copy me now. We're going to scoot the hips back slightly. And I can already feel that stretch in the hamstring already. So it's not about rounding you back forwards like this. I'm going to keep length to my spine. I'm going to scoot the hips back, and I can already feel that. Putting that slight bend in the knee will help put the hamstring stretch a little higher up. Sometimes that burning sensation that you feel is actually just the sciatic nerve burning on the back of the knee. So actually allowing a slight knee bend, I find, improves the hamstring stretch. Let's stay in this position, but we're going to move in and out. So we're going to bend and extend. As we extend, we're going to scoot the hips backwards, creating length through the spine. As I come forwards, I'm trying to keep the stretch on the hamstring, so we're not going full into a hip flexor stretch. We're just doing a much smaller motion, trying to keep some tension here the whole time. If you're feeling comfortable, let's creep that front heel out a little bit. Maybe you've got some blocks you want to hold underneath your hands. Maybe you can keep in contact with the floor. But remember, we're still trying to keep length to that spine. We're just doing a little bit of a dynamic stretch now, working in and out of that hamstring. Feeling, when you bend the leg, you should feel the higher up hamstring. And then when you straighten it, you'll feel the hamstrings that cross the knee joint a little bit more. And then finally, let's pick a straightened position. And we'll just take a deep breath in and breathe out, relaxing into it. Let's allow your body to fold forwards and then bringing it back up. Let's take that to the other side now. So we're going to creep this foot out. I like to wiggle the heel just to get it to go out a bit further. I'm going to put that slight unlock in the knee, so not a big bend. And then I'm going to scoot the hips backwards, keeping my pelvis extended so we're not rounding under. If you've got blocks to hold on to, great. If not, you might be able to reach the floor. Let's go into a bit of a dynamic movement now, just bend in and then straighten in. And remember, as we straighten, I want you to scoot the hips backwards, folding yourself in half, so we're hinging at the hip. Let's straighten now and just hold a static stretch. So we're in a slightly straightened position, hinging forwards. You put your hands on your upper thigh if you're nowhere near the floor. Deep breath in. As we breathe out, let's relax down, allowing that flexion and bringing it up. Okay, so we're going to finish with one final one for the hip flexors. We're going to give you two options. If you haven't got anything around you that you can use, we can just go for this kneeling variation where we're going to hold on to the knee. But if you've got a wall or a bench or something to put your knee up against, what we can do is you can scoot your knee into the corner like that. Position 1 will be here, position 2 will be here, and position 3 will be upright. We're trying to keep that shin flat to the wall, so either put your foot on a bench or a wall, and I'm going to show you the option on here. I'm actually going to double the mat up for a little bit more cushion on the knee. So I'm going to start by having my left knee out front, my right leg back. I'm going to bring this back, holding onto there, and then we're just going to hold this. The goal is not to lean really far forwards. It's actually to create a pelvic tilt, so you're tilting under, feeling that. I say it's a hip flexor stretch, but you'll feel the quads stretching. But some of your quads actually cause hip flexion. Hip flexors is a group of muscles, not a single muscle. So when I say hip flexors, I mean quads that cause hip flexion and some of the hip flexors, such as your psoas, and there's one called iliopsoas as well. So trying to keep the ribs drawn down and in, glutes tucked under. You might be able to grab two hands here. If you're up against the wall, don't worry whether you're in position 1 with both knees on the floor, hands on the floor. Position 2, you would have the front foot out but still hands on the floor. In position 3, you'd be fully upright with your shin flat to the wall. Let's hold 2 more breaths. One more time. And taking it over to the other side. So either back leg on a bench, up a wall, or just holding on like this. If you really can't hold on at all, what I recommend doing is just pelvic tilt and then a subtle lean forwards. I can feel that already, so you don't necessarily need to be holding onto this back foot, but you do need to be doing that pelvic tilt, whatever variation you're doing. So I'm trying to keep some tension in the glute. That keeps the stretch in the hip flexor as I tilt my pelvis under. Ribs drawn in to avoid any excessive arch of the lower back. One of your hip flexor muscles will come up from the front here, through and attach into your lower back. So as it stretches, it pulls you into extension of the spine, which can be uncomfortable. So we want to avoid that happening. Let's take 2 more breaths. And 1 more. Slowly breathing out. And that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below, how did you find it and where in the world are you doing this follow along from? As always, hit the thumbs up button, give it a like, make sure you subscribe, check out my mobility playlist here. And this is actually part of a 7-day dumbbell series. This is the active recovery day, which I'll link here. Check those out and see you soon.